All right, today's daily exercise drawing is on page 134, figure 264 from our 1964 Mechanical Engineering and Drawing textbook. I'll have some information on which book that is down below. And as always, I have my reference image brought in, and I will be calling out my shortcut keys as I go. So if you want to follow along and draw along, that would be awesome. So let's get started on today's drawing. So, as usual, I'm just going to block in the overall mass of the piece. So it looks like we have 2 3/4 inches wide and 5.5 inches long. So R for rectangle, 2.75, comma 5.5, enter. All right, and then it looks like our overall height here is 1 5/8, so P to push pull, 1 5/8, enter. All right, let's maneuver it into position here. All right, so let's start with this little bottom piece here. Looks like we're a 1/2 inch tall and 1 3/8 inches over, so T, drop in some guides, 0.5. And we'll go from this guy over 1 3/8, enter. 2 3/4, so 2 3/4, enter. And then this should be 1 3/8 as well, so just quick check. Yep, 1 3/8. All right, so let's R for rectangle, and we'll block this out. P to push pull. All right, so we have 1 3/8 inches over. All right, and so I'm going to make an assumption, they don't have it drawn in here, so that this should probably be 1 3/8 inches over as well. And then we have 1 1/8, 1 1/8 inches, 1 1/8 inches, and this final piece should be a 1/2 inch. Yep. All right, so then this guy is a 1/2 inch down, so go straight down, 0.5. R for the rectangle tool, and I'm going to draw this guy in. P to push pull. We'll cut that completely out. All right, Control D. I think before I get into the angles, it will be easier to cut this center section out. So T, and we'll drop in a 5/8 inch guideline, 1 1/2 inch, 1.5. All right, I'm going to just transfer these lines across the top of the block. R for rectangle, so P to push pull. And that is, how deep is that, do they say? So 1 5/8 inches up from the bottom. So let's T for a guide tool. We'll go up 1 5/8 inch is up from the bottom. No, that's the top of that line. They don't really say, do they? Here we go, 5/8 inches down, because this looks like it lines up here. So P to push pull, 5/8 inches, enter. I should have cut this out afterwards, so I wouldn't have this little bit to clean up here, but not a big deal. Clean this up, and then right click, orient faces. Whoops. There we go. erase these guys, clean this up. Alright, Control D to delete our guidelines. So now let's cut these triangle pieces in here. So T for tape measure, and that's 1 3/8 inches in. Whoops. I'll come back in from this side. Alright, so I'm going to L for line, and then I'm going to go from this corner up here. And I'm just going to select that M to move, Control to copy, and snap it over here onto that corner. B to push pull. We'll just cut that out. Cut that guy out. Same thing over here. L. Double click M to move, Control to make a copy, and we'll snap it to that side. So P to push pull. Alright, there we go. Let's drop in some measurements. Triple click, make it a component. So I'm going to put this instead of over here because that wasn't very clear to me. That this is down 5/8 inches. It's less crowded. I feel like this is an unnecessary measurement since you have these guys in there. Unless that's the critical component width, then you'd leave out one of these measurements. So if this had to be 100% an inch and a half, I would pick whatever my reference face was and draw it in like that. Same thing here. If I'm referencing off of this face, I don't need this piece if this is the critical inner dimension. Line these guys up. All right. There we go. There is today's practice drawing.